but then you are getting a little bit more time on the water before you pack it in and gear up for the winter season, the off season. And that's obviously an area that I love talking about. I know you do too, because we both understand the importance of the ERG and off season and athletic development, strength and conditioning, and all the different things that give you an opportunity to really lock in on fitness and pushing your training forward rather than just focusing on the weekly race execution, which, we'll probably get into in terms of like how that really drive it the same way as the winter season does. But as you guys gear up, like, what are those internal conversations amongst you as coaches, or just you personally, in terms of, okay, like if you're an athlete and you're gearing up for a winter season, where are you starting? Because every athlete will be there in about 1 to 2 weeks, right? When they wrap up the spring or the fall, they'll be in that same position where they're starting to think about training. What would you say, like, where kick things off for us in terms of like thinking about, okay, the off season and setting goals, and what are you trying to get out of those 3-4 months that you have to be more focused on inside the ERG room and training facilities? Like, kick that conversation off for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I think for me, this part of the off season in particular, at least when I was an athlete and as a coach, is the most exciting part, because you're now shifting gears from, being one piece of a boat to, it is a little bit more individualized. So you get to really like take a look at your own self and your own training and where you are at as an individual, and kind of figure out like the path forward for yourself, and you get to be a little bit more selfish about, what you do over the next couple of months, and leading especially into, for most college programs and even some high school programs, you have this weird time off, like right smack dab in the middle of the school year coming up in December. Like we have winter break. There's no practice, but does that mean that you don't train? What does that look like for you as an individual? And when I was an athlete, I always got excited for those times of year, because I knew that I was going to get to work and try to do a little bit more than maybe some others might be doing to try to get a leg up heading into January when the team comes back together. But I think it's a really good time to just reflect, like, okay, where was I this fall? Speed wise on the team. Was it a place that I felt, pretty good about? Did I feel like, the work I did over the summer paid off, or did I feel like maybe I didn't do enough over the summer? And, a few people passed by me that I was upset, about where I ended up. Now you have an opportunity again to get back to work on yourself and kind of figure out where you want to go in the new year. So that's usually how I think of it. And you've probably got a couple of tests that you've done this fall. Like we 6K'd last week. So I would use that as a benchmark. Like, okay, that's where I was end of October. Where do I want to see myself in January? Like we'll probably test again before we break for December, but that last October 6K is a good place to start and look at it like, all right, is that in a good spot for me, or do I need to get to work a little bit?
Yeah. And I find that I like what you said about you have, however way you phrase it, like you have this data point, like you have this these results that have materialized over the last couple of months of the fall to basically bring on paper, like, okay, was the work that you did in the summer enough to now fast forward to the end of the fall, feel like you're in a position, the position that you wanted to be in, right? Did you do enough in the summer, which is an off-season time, right? The winter's an off-season, the summer's an off-season. Did you do enough in the summer where, okay, well, now with a lot of new data points through the fall, both in terms of ERG results, race results, right, whatever it may be, where you were in the boat, right? Did you make the boat that you wanted to be in? You now have data points, real tangible ones, that you can now at this time, now here at the end of fall, right, which is fastly approaching, you can use that as real evidence of, okay, did I do enough in the off season in the summer to feel like I'm in the position I wanted to be at the end of the fall? And then you can now think in terms of, okay, where do I want to be by the end of winter to maybe have a new outcome come end of spring or beginning of spring through the end of spring. And that's the beauty of the off season. That's the beauty of training. and having a time where the entire focus is on training, on development, on getting faster, getting stronger, getting fitter, getting more durable so that you can withstand the workload that's to come when you are back on the water. Like that's what the winter's all about. That's what in my opinion, and I know you're very similar, that's what the summer's all about to help prep you for the fall, right? And the winter is an opportunity we can really take ownership of that process and really, you can change a full narrative in 3-4 months and be a completely different person in the spring. And I know you've seen it on your team. I've seen it in my teams or with the athletes I work with through the winter. Like it's the best time to truly change a narrative or evolve a narrative about yourself and your rowing journey. So